We have fire. It's burning down pretty good now. Just wasted all this time and effort. Let's give this another shot. Hello, welcome back to another episode from Pale Horse Survival and Tactical. I'm Bill. Glad you could join me. Today we're going to take a look at wild radish. There's a whole bunch of it back here. Stay tuned. Oh, it's that time again. The cool season annuals have been making their appearance, and the weather is just starting to warm up now. We're coming out of winter, so the cool season annuals are going to flower and set their seed and then go into their dormancy cycle. And that's exactly what's going on here in front of us. What we have here is a pretty good sized patch of wild radish. The botanical name is raphanistrum. The other cool season annuals are miner's lettuce, chickweed, buttercup oxalis, to name a few, at least in this locale. The wild radish obtains a height of about 1 to 3 foot tall. The flowers, as you can see, this is all wild radish here. It's a huge, huge patch. It's just, in a lot of states, it's considered an invasive weed. It's very, very prolific. The flowers, we'll take a closer look here in a bit. They range in color from lavender, pastels to white, as you can see here. The flowers are going to be wilting here pretty quick. Here's some whites. Raphanistrum is native to Eurasia. It was brought here by the early settlers, as most of our wild edibles and medicinal herbs were. It was used over there as a pot herb. And it does have a few medicinal qualities to it that the traditional Chinese medicine uses, and I'll post those in a few captions in here. This edible here belongs to the same family that mustard belongs to. Hi. I just got I got video bombed by a lady on horseback. She apologized. Pretty horse though. Okay, where were we? The wild radish belongs to the same family that mustard belongs to, and that is the Brassaceae family. And as such, it's a bit spicy. The leaves are a little hot, the same as mustard. The seed pods and also the seeds. In fact, the seeds, when they're mature, they can be ground into a powder. You add a little bit of water to them, or even vinegar, just as you would with ground mustard seed, and you can make a mustard-like paste that's a bit spicy. The edible parts of the plant, you can eat the flowers. They make a good addition to salads. The leaves, ideally you want to harvest leaves when they're young. As they get older, they become a lot more, a lot spicier, and they also get a bit of a bitter taste to them. So the young leaves would be the best to harvest. The lower leaves on the bottom, the lower older leaves, this would be a little bit past its prime. So if you're going to harvest the leaves, I would go for the younger leaves. And this one here hasn't even, it's just beginning to flower, so this would be in the optimal stage to harvest foliage. Once it flowers and the flowers start to die back, that's when it becomes a little bit bitter. Here's some decent leaves here, even though it's flowering. These leaves would make a pretty good edible. You can see how deeply lobed the leaves are, as opposed to wild mustard, which has no lobed areas on the leaves. So this is one way to identify this. It's very, very deeply lobed leaves, and there's just tons of it out here. The leaves are larger as you get to the bottom of the plant, and then they get progressively smaller as you get up to the top. The leafing structure is of an alternate arrangement. In other words, you have a leaf here, the petiole coming out of the stalk, and then you move down the stalk to the next leaf. That's known as an alternate branching leafing pattern. And opposite would be coming out of other side of the stem here. In other words, there'd be one here going this way, and one would come out the other side going this way. So this is an alternate leafing pattern. The root is also edible. These have a pretty good sized tap root, which can extend down 2 to 3 foot on larger plants. The root has to be peeled. It has a tough, woody outer coating. Once you peel that off, the inside is white, and you can dice that up or cook it whole. I would recommend boiling it in water and boil it until it's soft. The root is very similar to turnip. Very similar to turnip. Now, members of the Brassaceae family are known as cruciferous plants. And I'll show you why here. We have to find a good flower here. Cruciferous means cross-bearing. And if you look at the flowers, they're in the shape of a cross. And that is a cruciferous flower. The difference between this and mustard, these have individual flowers which come up on the little stalks here. And mustard, the flowers are smaller, and they're formed in clusters. You can also see the veins in the leaves here. That's another way to identify that, but you can really see that cross, the cruciferous part here. As I mentioned, the leaves can be consumed, the young leaves can be consumed raw. They're a bit hot. You can tame the spice a little bit by cooking them. You either cook them up in oil, or you can boil or simmer them for a short bit until they become soft, just like as you would a spinach green. And that will tame the spiciness down a little bit. Let's take a look at the seed pods, and I'm going to point out the difference between these pods, which are very similar to mustard pods. Some of these are just beginning to develop their seed pods, and I just spotted a few. Here's a couple right here. There's a pod. I spotted some more. Here's some more right here. You can eat the seed pods directly off of the plant when they're young. As they get older, they'll become a bit woody and won't be as palatable. But if you get them when they're young, they're kind of juicy. They got a little bit of spice to them. They make a really good trailside nibble. You can see how they're kind of jointed. See the indentation? And as they get bigger, that becomes more pronounced. Here's another one here. You can see the jointed. See how they're a bit jointed? You can see the segments along here. That is one way to identify this. Now, mustard also sets pods very similar to these in appearance, but mustard pods are smooth with no segments. Here is another one here. You can really see the let me pick this one here. You can really see the segments there. I'm actually going to harvest some of these out here and take them home for a snack. Make good additions to soups and stews as well. Here's one that's really jointed, segmented. You can eat these directly off the plant. There is a ton of it out here. Yeah, a lot of these have not even begun to bear the seed pods yet. I just spotted a few more over here. Here's some pods. There's more over here. This is at a really good stage when they're when the pods are small, tender, and juicy. There is a ton of it out here. You drive along the freeways, and in a lot of areas you'll see the sea of these flowers, and they'll stretch for miles. So if you're harvesting this, definitely don't hesitate to take as much as you want. It's considered invasive. You're not going to over harvest this one. It's not in danger of being wiped out in any way at all. So if you harvest this, definitely feel free to take as much as you desire. I mean, there's tons of it back in here. I mean, it just keeps going. It's a great patch over here. As I mentioned earlier, it's native to Eurasia. It's pretty much found worldwide. It's very prolific. It's found definitely across North America, up to about 2,500 foot in elevation. So it prefers the lower lying areas, and it makes a pretty brief appearance in the spring. It's not around too long. It'll maybe a month. Down south in the lower latitudes, its duration of appearance is much shorter. Hey, I'm hiking up out of here, heading back to the truck, and ran across some more wild edibles out here. I just wanted to throw in at the end of the video here. I'm always running into edibles, seems like everywhere I go. This is a curly dock. Rumex crispus is the botanical name. Very, very nutritious, very edible. It's known as curly dock because of the wavy leaf margins. It's a very easy way to identify this. Later in the year, this will send up a stalk, and then they get seeds on there. It's in the buckwheat family. And then over here, I did a video on curly dock and also harvested the seeds and separated them from the chaff and processed them, and it wasn't too bad. Fairly tasty. Over here we have, well, bull thistle. Lots of bull thistle here. And this will send up a stalk with a purple bluish flower on top. The thistle flower is actually the national flower of Scotland. And here's miner's lettuce. Lots of miner's lettuce out here. This is one of my favorite wild edibles. Very tasty. The stem goes right through the center of the leaf. Really easy to identify this. I'm probably going to wind up harvesting some of this and taking it home for the salad tonight. Here's some more curly dock out here, Rumex crispus. There is a ton of edibles out here. Just look at all this. All of that miner's lettuce. Anyways, guys, I want to toss that in at the end of the video here. Well, there's also, as I'm hiking down along the creek, I don't know if you can see that, it might be washed out from the sun, but there's a whole bunch of, there's more wild radish over here as well, so. Anyways, guys, I hope all of you are having a great day. Here's more wild radish. This hasn't bloomed yet. Giving you an idea, there's the flower heads. Give you an idea what it looks like before it sets flower. Always look for the deeply lobed leaves in the opposite leafing pattern. Oh, here's another edible. This is Gallium aperine, also known as cleavers. See how it's kind of gripping me? It's covered by little hooked hairs. It said that this plant was the inspiration for the invention of hook and loop Velcro. Anyways, I better get out of here before I spend all day here. See you soon. Bye-bye. Well, I know I said I was leaving, but still running across stuff. Here's another, it's another wild radish here. It's a very young one. The leaves are very thick, very rough type of leaf, but you can see the really heavy lobed patterns. And here's the flower head. It's going to be popping flowers. This is an optimal stage to harvest leaves there for edibility purposes. And this one here is just beginning to flower. Again, the lower leaves are the biggest. And then they get progressively smaller as you go to the top. There's a whole supermarket out here, and pharmacy if you know what to look for. This is all blackberries. All blackberries. They make good cordage. The young blackberry canes make really good cordage if you break them down and separate the fibers. And of course they set berries as well, blackberries obviously. Here's more curly dock. Really, Rumex crispus is the botanical name. I believe I mentioned that. But you can see the really deep, wavy. That's why it's called curly dock. I believe curly dock. It's another plant that's indigenous to Europe, and I believe they still cultivate it over there as a food source. Here's another one. There's a lot of it out here. You can cook these up like spinach greens. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it today. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I hope all of you are having an outstanding day or night, depending on where you're located. And I will see all of you very soon on the next one. And get out and try some wild radish. These seed pods are really delicious. Get them young. They have a really good radish, very crisp, radishy flavor to them. Really good. I'm going to harvest up as much as I can. I'm hitting it kind of early. A lot of them haven't set pods yet, so it's actually the ideal time, because the ones that are setting the pods are really young and really tender and juicy, but really good stuff. I'm gonna take some home, put them in a salad tonight. God, those are good. I'll see you all very soon on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.